Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Santa Claus is coming to town. Violent Night released this past weekend in 2022 and is directed by Tommy Wirkola, who has also directed such films like Dead Snow, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, What Happened on Monday, and The Trip. And this film is starring David Harbour, John Leguizamo, Alex Hassel, Alexis Louder, Cam Giganet, Leah Brady, and Beverly D'Angelo, who sounds like she's always been smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. It's Christmas Eve night, which means that Santa is making his rounds, getting all of the presents to everyone all over the world. But Santa has become very skeptical in his older years, and has lost all faith in humanity and just general kindness in the world. However, during one of his stops, he realizes that an entire family has been taken hostage. So now Santa has the choice of returning to his sleigh and continuing on his mission to deliver all the presents, or saving this family from assured assassination. And this topic, these characters, has become its own genre of movie, taking the Christmas holiday spirit movie that we could typically get with like good old cartoons like Rudolph and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but you take all of those good-hearted characters and you put them into, say, a horror film, or an action film, or a romantic comedy. This has kind of been its own subgenre in the past couple of decades. This one would definitely fall in the action genre, and many people have been making the analogy that this movie is basically Santa Claus is Coming to Town with Die Hard or John Wick. I would say it's more Die Hardy between the two. It's definitely not John Wick. This Santa Claus, even though when he gets his special war hammer, he has some technical abilities, he's not as cool and kung fu-like like John Wick. But he is sneaking through the house, taking out people kind of one at a time, which is very Die Hardy. I would almost say that this is more Under Siege. Like, I don't see David Harbour as Santa as Bruce Willis in Die Hard. I see him more as Steven Seagal in Under Siege, just growing through the ship, taking out all the bad guys. How we never got a Santa Claus martial arts film starring Steven Seagal as Santa Claus, I don't know. If we could wind back the clocks, I think we all need a Santa Claus Steven Seagal action movie. But I'll definitely settle for this, because I think David Harbour is a great Santa Claus, and I love his arc that he goes through, starting off with this cynical outlook on life. Everyone wants video games, everyone's being shitty to themselves. The Christmas spirit, what does that even mean anymore? And then through his relationship with the little girl, who is one of the hostages in this mansion, it starts to reignite that fire and passion for delivering the Christmas spirit on Christmas Eve. And where he gets to in the end, where he's finally happy and at peace with everything, it's actually very touching. The heart of this movie is definitely applaudable. The tone of this movie, though, is definitely all over the place. There are moments in here where it's like a die-hard action film. We have people's heads being bashed in with war hammers and guns being fired, and then at other points they're trying to make it kind of a family comedy, and it's definitely annoying at those points. And then once we shift from like comedy, then to serious, then to comedy, then to seriousness again, all of a sudden it becomes pratfally, and I'm wondering, are the characters actually taking this seriously? I don't know, it's not reading that way to me. And I do feel that there is a pacing issue in the first half of this film. It seems that there is a lack of energy getting this thing going and getting this train, chugging along on the railroad tracks. All of a sudden the bad guys show up, led by John Leguizamo, who is basically an Ebenezer Scrooge. Something bad happened to him when he was a kid on Christmas, therefore he hates all things Christmas. It's a pretty weak reasoning to be an asshole, but I guess you go along with it. But they take over, and it's kind of just like, okay, yeah, it's happening. And then Santa Claus is there. He's actually chilling out in a massage chair, and then all of a sudden it happens. And there's actually a moment where he tries to leave, and then something happens to where he can't leave, so he's kind of forced to make the decision to stay, which I wish we would have gotten more of a definitive choice from him being like, no, this is the time. I need to do what's right. Or maybe I'm just being too harsh on it. I mean, because we do get those moments eventually in this movie. It just takes a while getting there. We also have some flashbacks to the lore of Santa Claus or Saint Nick or whatever the original name for him was, but really we go back to like Viking days where he's just like clothed in blood with this war hammer. It was actually pretty badass. I was liking that we were touching on that stuff, and I would love to see a prequel film where we would see his rise to whatever this Christmas Santa Claus power is that he got. Or hell, I'd even love a sequel to this thing. I don't know how you would do that unless you have Santa Claus on Christmas Eve night, instead of going around delivering presents, is going around to every single household looking like, oh, is something bad happening here? But Violent Night, I actually had a lot of fun with this. There were many times where I was laughing openly out loud in a very, very empty theater. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed David Harbour as Santa Claus. I would love to see more. The tone is all over the place. It's not the greatest film that I've seen all year, but I think it's still a pretty damn good time. I'm gonna give Violent Night 3.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I am above average.
So guys, if you've seen Violent Night, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you've stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you all the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.